standard?
Standard usually would be about 2, Rick.
Okay.
You know, and that if it looks like the actual shoot is strong, you know, it's long, it's healthy looking, you might be tempted to keep a third one on there, but never anymore. And particularly on a particular single vine, you don't want to have a bunch of vines that have more than 2. You can have 2 or 3, and they, as you probably know, they grow up the chute. Yeah. And keep watching them, because that one at the top is the one that's likely not going to ripen if there's no ripening going on it. So near the season, if that thing's all green or very little color, the other ones down below are healthy and strong and doing what they should. That top one's got to go.
Okay.
Donna?
Is there a standard number of leaves per cluster that you
Yeah.
have to leave?
And who counts it?
You can read, no, that's not funny, because you can read the literature and say, oh, you sort of have so many leaves per cluster and all that. But my question to the guys is like, okay, well, what about the circumference of the leaf? How big is it? You know, like you've got a little leaf like this, and you got a big leaf like that. Well, 14 of both of those have a different surface area to ripen that grape. So that to me was somebody trying to be a little overly cute, if you will. We need 14 leaves per cluster and come there. Yeah, it just doesn't work.
So how do you do it in your vineyard? How do you judge that you've got enough leaves to?
You know, it's like I was trying to say, and this is a real subjective thing, is trying to figure out where your balance is. And that's an accumulation of climate, the variety, because each variety is going to have a little bit different. But I'll look at them and see what it feels like. That's a really, I'm not trying to be evasive, but that's what you're doing. You're trying to get a feel for how many you need to keep going. So, because sometimes we'll keep laterals going at the top. I'll take laterals off, you know, immediately above the fruiting zone and that, so they're not growing and shading things, but I'll leave a lot of the laterals at the top so they can contribute to the ripening process, because it hasn't been that particularly thrilling year in terms of sunshine. So try to get that balanced a little bit. So it's like I said, every vineyard, every variety is going to be a little bit different, and it's really, like I said, just looking at them, does it feel good? Which is not a really good answer to your question.
No.
But when I first started doing this, I thought, oh yeah, here, you know, we need 14 leaves per cluster. You know, so I realized, well, I'm counting little tiny epicure leaves like that, and then I've got all these dinner plate, Pinot Gris. I do three about thinking, what the hell is this all about? Because it doesn't make any sense to me. And I was asking Lamont, who I consider a great viticulturist. He said, no, that's nonsense. Trevor.
So at the undeveloped grape, it has 1 unit of acid. Is that, and you said that as it goes on, the acid goes down, sugar goes up. Is that 1 unit of acid metabolized, or is it just swamped out by the addition of new?
No, it actually degenerates a little bit.
Sorry?
It degenerates. You use swamped out, that's probably a good word. It actually gets used up and it goes away. Now, one comment to your point. Here, we seem to have a lot of malic acid, comparatively speaking, to other places in the world. So we do have a lot of malic acid, and our grapes tend to be higher in TA, even when they're feeling ripe, and obviously similarly lower pH. So sometimes you just can't do much about it, but it should go like this. Theoretically, sugar's up, acids start degenerating and used up and leave the berry.
So the acids are metabolized?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Or they're actually expelled out of the grape, which I suppose is metabolized.
Okay. Second question. I've
I
actually,
can answer.
I've actually seen grape roots meters below the surface.
They do go there, yeah.
And that, is that just a local thing that they're shallow?
Yes, in part. In part it is, for sure. And here, they do have, often they do have a single tap that will go down. But most of the roots that are feeding the plant are within that top foot. And you'll find that with trees.
Mhm.
My uncle was a forester, and I used to talk to him a lot about trees. We had a lot to talk about. But he'd say, well, yeah, no, because we get so much rain in this part of the world, the roots don't have to go deeper to get what they need, and they've got all that humus and all that organics in the top foot and a half. He said, next time you're walking through the woods and you see a 80-foot Douglas fir that's fallen over, look at the root ball. And I did, and you look at it, and the root ball is from me to you, wide in circumference, or in radius, and it's huge. But there is no roots that are going down. He said, that's why these trees fall down so much, is they don't have deep roots around here in BC.
So that's more climate than it is terroir.
Exactly.
So, as winemakers, what should we look? What parameter do you think is most important to get good grapes to make wine? Like you talked about degree days. You know, is it the higher degree days you get more bricks, higher bricks?
Generally speaking, that's true, but you can't control that. I mean, I try to emphasize to people is that any human endeavor always has problems and challenges. There are problems and challenges that you know are coming, so you can plan for them. And there are problems that come out of the blue, black swan, that you've never planned for, you don't know what the hell to do. And then there are other things that come up and you can mitigate. And so, growing degree days, we have no control on that. I don't worry about it. I'm more interested in, what's going on in the vineyard, because if you get low growing degree days, or you get a lot of rain, you got to adjust. You need to make some adjustments in how you're raising or farming your grapes to go with what you've experienced and what you think is coming. So, the most important thing in my view, do you have good canopy management? Is the fruit open to get nice and sun? Do you have good leaf to fruit ratios? And do they look healthy? And that's about all you can do. Yeah.
But I think what you're asking is what should we look for in the grapes, right? Is that what you're asking?